Hi and welcome back to another Hatha class. So begin seated on the ground, legs in a half lotus, full lotus, crossed one in front of the other. Or if that's very uncomfortable for you, just straighten your legs to the front. Just move the flesh on your buttocks either side so you can really grind yourself down onto your sits bones. Roll the shoulders back, draw up through the pelvis and the spine to the crown of the head, nice and tall. Make sure that chin's not jutting forward. So we've got nice length at the back of the neck. Hands are resting on the knees, palms up or palms down. It's up to you. Gently closing the eyes and bringing the focus to the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Observe the belly rising and falling. Focusing on the breath. Becoming mindful and present. So take a few moments to observe your body as you sit here. Notice how you feel. Observe your mind. Is there a lot of mind chatter going on? And then set your intentions for your practice. Set your intention to remain connected with the breath, to be present, to allow all that mind chatter just to drift away. And then slowly open the eyes. So we're going to get a little bit of movement through the body. So let's start with the neck. Place this left hand on the ground, just the fingertips lightly resting on the ground, and bend your neck across to the right, stretching all along this left side down into the shoulder. Inhale as you come back up to center, placing that right hand fingertips on the mat and bending the neck to the left. Inhaling back to center, to the right. Inhaling, exhaling to the left. Inhaling, exhaling. Last time. Coming back up to center. And I'll just rest the hands on the knees as you bring that chin down towards the chest. And then back up, dropping the back of the head backward and the gaze up towards the ceiling. Chin down. And head back to neutral. So now we are going to just stretch along the sides of the body. So keep those sits bones really pinned to the mat. I don't want you to lift that buttock off the mat. So the pelvis stays level, and then pressing against the thigh of the left palm, push and move the body away from that hand. So you're getting this curve through the body on the left and this lengthening on the side of the body. You can actually feel it coming through into the flexors a little bit. Come up to center and then exhale as you move across to the left, pushing against that right hand. Back to center, to the right again. Once more, each side. Good. Now let's extend the legs out along the floor in front of us. So we're going to do a half cow face pose. In the last video, we crossed the legs so that the knees are stacked on top of each other. So this is a really nice modification if that's just too much for you. Let's cross the left leg over the right and try and keep this left foot in line with the right leg. And just wrap your right arm around that left knee and slowly begin to twist the body toward the left. Extend those left toes up towards the ceiling as you flex the foot. Place that hand on the ground behind you as you just twist ever so gently, breathing. This is a nice twist through the spine and also getting a little bit of length here through the left. Come back to center and then we'll just do a little bit of a counter pose. So twisting to the right, this left buttock comes up off the ground now. And so we just untwist that spine a little bit. And come back to center. Uncross that leg and now bring the right leg over. And hook that left arm around the right knee. And twist towards the back. Flex that left foot. It's important here to keep both buttocks firmly planted on the ground. Inhale as you come back through center and then twist off to the left into this little counter pose. And now your right hip will lift up off the ground. And moving back to center, and we're going to come to our knees. Again, towel if you need to. To a nice tabletop. Check your alignment, draw the shoulders into their sockets. Engage the core so that this pelvis stays nice and stable. And bring this right hand just to the head. And you're going to close the chest and bring this right elbow down. And then up. So we're just getting a little bit of movement through the upper back and the shoulders. Come back to neutral, drop that hand and bring the left hand up. Again, now drop that left elbow. hand back to neutral. Drop that left hand. Roll those shoulders back. And we're going to now drop down between the chest. So dropping the chest down to the mat, keeping everything else flat, and trying to get those shoulder blades to touch each other. So really bringing those shoulder blades back as close as you can, and then up. So think about moving that chest down and up. You will have movement through the back just purely because of this movement, but I want you to focus the movement on that area between the shoulder blades. Try not to jut that chin forward when you come down. And back to neutral. Very nice. So we're going to come back into child's pose now, balasana, to release the toes. You can open up the knees. If your knees aren't very bendy, bring a bolster or a rolled up towel behind the knee, just to support you if you can't come down all the way. Now extend the arms out in front of you and ground that forehead into the mat. Resting your arms on the mat all the way from the elbow to the fingertip. Breathe. And I feel this nice lengthening that's happening along the back, along the spine. And we are gently just starting to stretch through these shoulders. So focus on the breath. And now we are going to move on to a slightly more challenging pose. If you're happy just to stay here, if this is enough of a challenge for you, then you just stay here. So coming up onto the elbows, just sort of situate yourself. We're now going to come into extended puppy pose. So with the hips now raised up, extending the arms along the ground, grounding that forehead, and trying to work that chest into the mat. So you're really trying to push that chest down into the mat. Feel those shoulders stretching. Breathe. Remember, you always have a slight engagement of the core, particularly in positions like this, just looking after that lower back. And from here, let's just move back into child's pose. Just move that back. Ground the forehead, and you can bring the arms to the sides now. And just breathe. And let those shoulders recover a little bit from that stretch. And then we're going to come into one more stretch for the shoulders, which is quite intense. This is something I've taken from my yin yoga practice, so you will need blocks for coming into balasana. You're going to rest your triceps on the blocks. So you can alter the height of these blocks according to whatever is comfortable for you. So this is its lowest setting or lowest height. So bring that forehead down to the mat. Try and sink those buttocks back towards the heels and bring the hands in prayer and drop them down behind you. Breathe. Now in yin yoga, we normally hold the poses for anything between sort of 3 and 5 minutes. Makes it extremely intense and very, very effective.
at lengthening and stretching out those muscles, but we're not going to hold it for as long here. You'll be glad to know if you're feeling it, a nice little surrender, you can come up and change the height of your blocks. It becomes more challenging. Just establish your balance first before you place all your weight. Make sure that you're stable, and then come back down. Maybe your head is not coming all the way down to the mat now. Hands again in prayer, bending back. Breathe. And you can move the blocks up higher still. And really, you're wanting to almost try to get that chest to come down to the mat. Now you're going to move out of this pose slowly, so extend the arms. And then come back into child's pose, grounding that forehead on the mat and bringing the arms alongside the body. And breathe. And now, let's bring your hands forward and come back up to tabletop position. Engage those toes. Place those hands one hand's length away from you. Roll the shoulders back and push up and back into downward facing dog. Again, this modified down dog with the bent knees. As we slowly start walking the dog, just getting some movement through the lower part of the body now before we come to standing and move into some of our standing poses. And now just for something different, instead of walking the feet up to the hands, let's walk the hands back towards the feet. Squeeze the glutes. And you're going to lose the top of me now as you unfold the body up to standing. So from the top of your mat, take a nice big step back with that left leg and stay up on the left toes. Aligning those hips with the front of the mat, drawing that belly button towards the spine to look after this lower back. So in a nice high crescent lunge, feel that lovely stretch along the flexors on the front of the left leg, and bring the arms alongside the ears. Palms facing each other, breathe. So be mindful as you're in these poses. Observe the body. Notice how you feel. Observe the breath. Keep that connection with the breath. Drop the arms and ground that left foot. So your heels are almost in line with each other. Straightening this back leg, and the back foot is at about a 45-degree angle. Inhale, and as you exhale, come forward into the standing runner's stretch. You can use your blocks and just rest your hands on the blocks. Breathe. If you do not need the blocks, just bring the hands to the ground. Try and keep this leg straight. Engage that quadricep. Inhale and come back
up to standing. So we're going to move forward into warrior three. So this is a bit of a balanced pose and a strength pose as well. All the weight rather is going to come onto the right foot, or roll the shoulders back. There's a lot of different variations with the arms in this pose. For this one, I want you to just keep your hands at your sides, roll those shoulders back, and then come forward, flex this left foot nice and strong as you come forward into warrior three. Breathe. Focus on your balance. Breathing. Inhaling. Coming back up to standing. And now take a nice big step back with the right foot, staying up on those right toes. Bending this left knee and really feeling that lovely release here through this right flexor. Engaging core and bringing the arms overhead. Inhale, exhale, bring those arms down and ground that back foot. So just check your heels, can be in line with each other or slightly wider as you come forward into standing runner stretch on this side again. Grab your blocks if you need to. And start to try to work on straightening through this left leg. If that's not accessible to you and you cannot straighten your left leg, then just keep that slight micro bend, just as long as you're feeling this release that's happening through the hamstring at the back. That's fine. Remember, in yoga, there is no perfect pose. And we listen to our body. And we accept that wherever we are is exactly where we're meant to be. Breathe. Nice. And come back up to standing. I'm going to come into warrior three on this side. So this is a little bit of this is my wobbly side. I'll do my best. So establish that base on the left leg. Shoulders back, try and keep that chest open, arms at the side, and then flexing that right foot, keeping this right leg nice and strong. Let's come forward into warrior three. I need to bend my leg more on the side just to try and keep my balance. Bend through the supporting leg if you need to. That creates more muscle activation than when the joint is locked out. Breathe. Inhale, come back up to standing. Plant the feet. Very good. So again, step back with this left foot. Coming into that high crescent lunge. Bringing the arms overhead. This time, if you like, you can link your thumbs so that the palms face forward. Roll those shoulders back and down. Breathe. Release the arms and come up. Now we're going to come into Ardha Chandrasana, which is half moon pose. Again, it's a little bit of a balance pose and a little bit of a strength pose because we are standing on one leg. So it's quite nice to build up that stability through the ankle, the knee, and the hip. So we're going to come forward and we're going to place the hand on the ground, almost sort of slightly diagonally to the right of the foot. So coming forward, you can stop halfway and just rest the toes, get your balance. Flex that foot and come down to the ground. Bring this left leg up as high as you can. Now, if you cannot come down to the ground, you bring the ground closer to you and you use your block at whichever height you need to. So flex this left foot, nice and strong. Roll that left shoulder back and place this left hand on the hip. And you can stay here, or you can extend this left arm up to the ceiling. If your balance permits, you can begin to turn the head and the gaze up towards the ceiling. It's about as far as I can go. So really working this left leg up high, squeezing the glutes. Breathe. Bring that gaze back down. You can bring the hand to the hip, bend this left or right leg rather, and bring that foot back to the mat and come back into a nice reverse warrior now. So just check that this right heel is aligned with the middle of the left foot. And breathe. Remember, light on this left hand. And coming back to stand at the top of the. So now taking a nice big step back with the right foot, staying up on those right toes, bending through that left leg, and coming down, just enjoying that lovely stretch. Breathe, drawing that belly button back, looking after the lower back. Again, if you like, linking the thumbs so that the palms face forward. Roll the shoulders back. Breathe. Inhale, drop the hands, and let's come forward into half moon pose on this side. So you can step forwards, straightening this left leg. And again, bringing this left hand down to the ground now. Again, slightly diagonally in front of you to the left. Flex through this right foot. And come down using your block if you need to. Open up this right hip, flex that right foot. Bring that hand to the hip. If you like and if you can, extend that right arm up. I can't extend that arm up or turn my gaze, but if you can do that, work this right glute. Try and get that leg nice and high. Breathe. Bend this left knee and come back elegantly if you can onto this right foot. And again, let's just align this front heel with the arch of the back foot. Bend that left leg. Come back into reverse warrior. Breathe. Inhale. And stand back up the top of your mat. So bring this left foot back again. and align your heels with each other. Stand up nice and straight. Now we're going to come into reverse prayer. So this is going to open up the chest and really just work on those shoulders. So let me just turn around so I can show you. Really working those thumbs towards each other, bringing those elbows back and the shoulders back. If you cannot do this, grab your elbows or your forearms or your wrists. Essentially, all I want is this chest to be open and the shoulders to be rolled back. So standing in this stance, heels aligned with each other, bringing your hands into reverse prayer. Try not to stick the ribs out too much. So draw that belly button back towards the spine. Take a nice deep breath in. Keep this right leg nice and straight. Inhale. And as you exhale, come forward. Keep the back straight. Just until you feel that resistance and your leg doesn't want you to go anymore. And stay there. Flat back. Leaning over that right leg. Breathe. Inhale. And come back up. And change your feet around. Again, just check that your heels are aligned and turn the body to face the front of your mat. Straighten that left leg. Engage that quad. Inhale. Exhale, come forward. Just until you feel that resistance and hold it there. Straight back. I can't lock out my knee, unfortunately. So I will have this micro bend in the left knee. Try to straighten your leg and engage that left quad. Breathe. Inhale. And come back and release the arms. So from the top of your mat, open your stance a little bit, and you're going to come down into Malasana, into that squat. Again, I'm just going to turn sideways so that you can see. And come down. Bringing those elbows to the insides of the legs, opening the chest, trying to get those tailbone to come straight down, pressing out with the arms into the legs. You can see my squat is a little bit skew, and that's just as a result of this. I'm getting there. Breathe. The angle that you come down at and the angle that your knees are and your feet are is very much dependent on your anatomy and how your femur tracks in the pelvis. So you need to do what works for you and what works for your body. Listen to your body. Breathe. Very nice. Drop the hands. Straighten the knees. Inhale, flatten that spine. Squeeze and come up to standing. So from the top of your mat now, inhale. And as you exhale, come into a forward fold, keeping that chest open. Dropping the hands to the mat. Bend the knees and bring this right foot back. And then drop that right knee. And now you're going to walk this left foot across to the right side of the mat and drop that knee to the ground. So we're coming into pigeon pose. So release those left toes and begin to work that pelvis down towards the floor. Breathe. Now, if you are like me and you're kind of hovering and it's extremely uncomfortable, grab your block and just support yourself. You can place it under your thigh. You can place it under the pelvis. It's up to you.
Of course, you don't need to. If you're lovely and loose through the hips and everything's nice and flat, you may want to come down onto your arms and just pillow the head. Again, it's up to you. Listen to your body. Once you can stay up on the forearms, try and roll those shoulders back. Don't let them start to hunch up towards the ears. It creates tension through the body, and we want to create release. Breathe. Engage those right toes. Come up onto your hands. Pick that right knee up off the mat and move this left foot back, and then bring the right leg forward. Release the left toes and come down to pigeon pose now on the other side. One side will definitely be much tighter and more resistant than the other. So just observe that. Observe the body. Breathe in this pose. Focus on the breath. As I mentioned in the other Hatha class, so the hips are the saddlebags of the soul, so it's where we store all the emotions that we haven't dealt with. We've pushed them away. So when we open the hips, sometimes we release those emotions. So just observe how you feel. More often than not, it's irritation. So just recognize that. Exhale. Breathe it out. Let it go. Observe and acknowledge whatever emotions arise, but don't get caught up in them. Just observe them and let them go. Come up onto the hands, and you're going to come down onto the mat now. Let's come onto our backs on our mats and cross your left leg over your right and pick both feet up off the ground. And now you're going to grab onto your shins, your ankles, your feet, whatever you can reach. So we're doing a supine or reclining cow face pose. So the last Hatha class we did the Gomukhasana, cow face. So this is a slightly more gentle modification of that pose to do it lying down, so we can control the angle. Breathe. Relax those shoulders. And release the legs. And now you're just going to change the cross of the legs. Grab onto whatever you can and start drawing them down towards the body. So you're creating your own rotation through the hips. Release. Bring that foot down to the ground, don't cross the legs. And now you can come into your final twist and your Shavasana. I will link that video down in the description box, and enjoy.